Hey guys, welcome to Pistons Talk Post-Game Show. Your Detroit Pistons just got a victory over the Los Angeles Lakers. That is back-to-back wins for your Detroit Pistons. If you guys are coming on in, definitely drop a comment or a question. If you guys are new here at the end of these podcasts, we react to comments and questions, but we're just going to kind of go over this game from first to fourth quarter and what we saw out there tonight from your Detroit Pistons. So, in the first quarter, what I really liked to start up the game is our veterans like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris kept the offensive flowing when our young guys weren't hitting shots initially to start the first quarter. Really liked what I saw out of THJ tonight. Really liked what I saw out of Tobias tonight. Tobias does have to hit a corner three. He just suck me back in, like hit one or two and I'll be back on the train. But it seemed like tonight, like every corner three he shot, he missed. But hey, I'm happy we got the dub. Really liked just what I saw in the first quarter of us pushing the pace. That is something that a lot of us have talked about last week. This is a team that is young and they should be pushing the pace. They should be running the transition game. They should, just be pushing the pace. And that's exactly what they did in the first quarter. I loved just the energy they came out with. They had the first quarter 33-22. So the fact that they could hold the Lakers to 22 points to start the first quarter and dropping 33 points in the first, that's the type of energy I think that we should expect out of this team. When you have vets like Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Malik Beasley, these were vets that we talked about, before the season, and that they're going to contribute to some wins this season. Tim Hardaway Jr. tonight, that's what I was telling you guys. When he's hot, he's hot. He's just a microwave out there, and that's exactly what I saw out of him in the first quarter. Kind of transitioning into the second quarter, Jaden Ivey, even though he did get 2 early fouls in the first quarter, he just stayed aggressive. I believe he had 26 points tonight. Hit some really crucial shots during the game. Really like what I'm seeing out of Jaden Ivey this season, you guys. I think a lot of us had a lot of questions in terms of Jaden Ivey. He's kind of answered the questions that I had into the offseason. He looks better out there. Mid-range looks good. Attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line, hitting three-point shots when he needs to hit the three-point shots. And his efficiency from his field goal percentage and his three-point percentage looks good so far. And I know it's really early into the season, but I really like what I'm seeing out of Jaden Ivey this year. And I think wins like this can go a long way in this season. He's building chemistry with Cade Cunningham. And this is a very young backcourt. And I think it's a backcourt that can continue to grow. We have to stack good wins like this throughout the season. And their confidence will just, I think will skyrocket if you have games like this. Isaiah Stewart, I do want to give a huge shout out. He didn't have a good game against Brooklyn yesterday. We know that. We understand that. He came in, gave the Pistons good minutes, was protecting the rim, gave Anthony Davis a little bit of trouble. And you kind of look at the box score. Anthony Davis still scored 30, but he made it difficult for him to get those 30 points. He was protecting the rim, blocked LeBron James, blocked Anthony Davis. It seems like 1 or 2 times in the game, but really that's what I saw to Stu tonight, just bringing the energy off the bench. And that's all I can really ask for him is just, play hard while you're out there. And he's done that so far this season. And the Pistons crashing the offensive glass too, I think was so eye-opening, from Jalen Duren to Jaden Ivey to Isaiah Stewart to Tobias Harris out there. They were all crashing the glass. And the Lakers just did not bring the energy on the offensive rebound side of the ball tonight. I just love that. I love that they're bringing the energy and rebounding the basketball. I believe FanDuel had a stat that the Pistons are the best in the NBA right now at rebounding margins, with a +6, which means the Pistons are just out rebounding their opponents on a night in and night out basis. So that is something that we really haven't had probably since like the SVG era, as a good rebounding team. And when you rebound the basketball, you can control the pace of the game. And I think that's what we're seeing so far this season with your Pistons. Now, they do end the second quarter going into halftime 67-53, almost scoring 70 points at halftime. Really good. The offense was flowing out there. In the first half, I really like what I saw out of just your Detroit Pistons. Going into the third quarter, Tim Hardaway Jr. was still staying hot. He was still hitting his shots, still finding ways to get involved offensively. Jalen Duren, I thought this was a very, very good defensive game for Jalen Duren. I know I was on his ass with the New York Knicks game, but I have to give credit when credit's due. I told you guys, if I see him have a good game, I will talk about him. I thought these past two games, he's really locked in defensively. He's gotten better. And that's all we can really ask for out of him is, putting consistent games like this. And he just did it on a back-to-back. And I like it. I like the energy he brought tonight. He didn't really get into foul trouble too much, even though he did have 5 fouls throughout the game. As I'm looking at this box squad, I really liked his energy. I like that the Pistons did get him involved around the rim, throwing him some lobs, getting him, started early, which I think they should do more often because he's shooting such a high field goal percentage this season. But got to give Jalen Duren his props. Played really good basketball tonight. And then towards the end of the third quarter, as the Pistons were up almost 20 at one point in this game, it seemed like the refs were trying to get the Lakers back in the game, and it just didn't really matter. Some of the fouls in the late third quarter were kind of questionable. There was a travel on Hachimura. There was a couple, questionable calls with this officiating crew tonight. But again, Pistons were just playing so well that they held their lead ending the third quarter, I should say, 83-77 going into the fourth quarter. And I thought what was so crucial with this fourth quarter, you guys, was hitting timely shots and not choking a lead. Jaden Ivey hit some big time shots. Ron Holland had an impact tonight. Ron Holland, I think, should also be talked about in a positive light tonight. Ron Holland, I would probably say that was his best game during this season in his rookie campaign. He brought energy, he brought effort, he brought, just hustle. Really liked what I saw to Ron Holland tonight. But, Ivey hitting, timely shots, timely three-pointers, getting to the free throw line. Cade Cunningham getting a little bit more aggressive in the fourth quarter. He had a triple-double tonight, 17 points. So I thought everyone on this team, from Tobias to Jalen Duren to Jaden Ivey to Cade Cunningham to Ron Holland, all made crucial contributions to this win tonight. And it was just a kind of a full team win. And I love it. Back-to-back wins for your Detroit Pistons. They're now 3-5. They defeat the Lakers 115-103. But I want to get into your guys' comments and questions for this post-game podcast. I just want to take a quick drink of water, and then I will get to your comments and questions. Just give me maybe 20 seconds to take a sip of water, and we'll get to your comments. Okay, so I want to kind of go through some of these comments and questions from you guys. So give me a couple of seconds, and we will just kind of talk about this game tonight. And the Pistons just look really, really good, man. Got a comment from Organic Lindo. Tim Hardaway Jr. went full Tropic Thunder in the first half. Yeah, that's what I was kind of talking about. Organic is Tim Hardaway Jr., when he's feeling it, when he's scoring the basketball, that's the all-time high you'll get with Tim Hardaway Jr. We saw kind of the lows during the preseason where his shot wasn't falling, and that's kind of where he's at as a player. He's a streaky player, but when his shot is falling and he's giving you, what did he have, 15 points tonight? That's something that we really didn't have last year. We didn't really have a guy that could come in, whether he's starting or coming off the bench, and just give us a good 15 points a night. And that's something that I've seen out of him so far. And he's a really good vet. You see him talking out there with Cade and Ivey and kind of being a mentor for these young guys. So really love to see it. I have a comment from Shift God. Shout out to him. Ivy improving game by game. Love to see it. Yeah, he really is. I think that's something that I've noticed too. It's not just him hitting shots. It seems like the game is slowing down a little bit for him. And I think that's something that's good for him as well, because we know how fast he can be in the transition game. He can get to the basket at will. His mid-range shot looks improved. His three-point shot looks improved. He's getting better each game. And I think that's all we can really ask for him. We know how much work he puts in each offseason. Trajan had mentioned it. To during his presser that they basically have to kind of scale him back because that's how hard this kid works every day in the gym trying to get better. But you're seeing all that hard work pay off, and having 26 points against the Los Angeles Lakers tonight, who are a good basketball team, I think was a good sign for this young Detroit Pistons backcourt. Had a comment about from Breaking Sanity Network. Been telling people about Jaden Ivey. Yeah, same here, man. Like I was one of those people that really wanted to draft Jaden Ivey during his draft class. A lot of people weren't even considering him, but honestly, I know a lot of people last year were low on him, but I think that had more to do with who the coach was and how he was used and how he was kind of mistreated in a sense. You're having a coach in JB Bickerstaff that believes in him. He's giving him every opportunity to succeed, and he's also putting him in positions to succeed, staggering him with Cade Cunningham tonight. And you're kind of seeing, it's only 8 games of the season, but you're kind of seeing like what staggering Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey can look like. And I think the sky's the limit for this backcourt because they're extremely young. You obviously want to lock these guys down if they keep developing and they keep putting games and getting wins together like that. But yeah, Jaden Ivey, man, like I can't say enough good things about him. And if you guys did place a bet on him to win Most Improved Player of the Year, you're probably gonna make some pretty good money because sports books like DraftKings have him like at a plus 2,000. So I mean, I would, if you guys haven't put a bet on that and you guys are into that type of stuff, I would definitely look to do that. You can earn some money because Jaden Ivey is just playing so well right now. I have a comment from 313 Dreams. Wasn't a fan of Stu, but we have to keep him. Yeah, like nights like tonight and nights like the Philly game, I think that's what his niche in the NBA is. His niche in the NBA to me is an energy big off the bench, get you rebounding, do all the dirty work, protect the rim. He might not score a lot. He might not be the sexiest player out there, aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but I think Isaiah Stewart is definitely the type of backup big that you need. And I think he fits the culture of Detroit so well. He's just a rough, tough, center that I think a lot of old Detroit Pistons fans can appreciate. But yeah, I really like what I'm seeing out of Isaiah Stewart. Just have to get him to have more consistent games like this and not follow out like he did in the Brooklyn game. But tonight, he really brought the energy. He was moving his feet defensively like he does every night. And he might have not had a bunch of blocks tonight, but he was still contesting each and every shot around the rim and hustling for rebounds. And he looked more controlled tonight in those DHO sets offensively. So really like what I saw out of Stewart as well. Got a comment from Yashan. Great win, but Tobias keeps missing wide open threes. It's mostly the corner threes that I've noticed. I know they'll fall. They showed a stat over like his last 3 games. He's shooting like 50% from the field. Tobias, it just took him, I guess, a couple of games to kind of get into a groove offensively. But yeah, man, it seems like he's so wide open for the threes. And I was just like, man, like if that goes in, like maybe we could, pad the lead a little bit. But I had tweeted out that his kryptonite are corner threes, and someone had mentioned that he shot like over 40% from his corner threes last year in Philly, but this year he's only shooting like 16%, which I didn't know it was that low, but I hope he can start knocking down open 3-point shots because that could help us win more games and close out games even sooner than we did in these previous games in the 3 victories that we have so far. A comment from T. Hess, please stop saying trade Stu. Every team needs a Stu. And that's what we've been trying to tell fans. I know that Stu isn't like an athletic big, like a run a lob threat, like some of the backup bigs in the league that I think a lot of you guys really like. But he plays hard at every possession. He's not going to get out hustled, and he brings it. Stu is a type of player that you need on this basketball team, I think. And he's a culture guy too. He's been here through the entire rebuild. He's the only player left from that 2020 draft class that Troy Weaver did draft on this team. And I think he's still adjusting to going back to the bench. If you remember, he was a starter. He was playing power forward. Now he's playing backup center mid. So he's still adjusting. JB Bickerstaff is still learning, and Stu's probably still learning, JB Bickerstaff's system. But I've really liked what I've seen out of him, so far with just the way he's handled, playing backup minutes when he was a starter last season. And a comment from Organic Lindell, Holland showing great intangibles as well. Yeah, like I really liked what I saw around Holland tonight. That layup over Anthony Davis was really impressive. I will say that, but you're kind of seeing like what Trajan Langton saw at Ron Holland, and what a lot of talent evaluators saw at Ron Holland, like going into the draft. Like this was a guy that was a consensus, maybe 1, 2, or third overall pick, but he slipped the 5. A lot of people didn't even have him in the lottery, but some of the stuff he does, you just can't teach. His athleticism, his nose for defense, his ability to run in the open court. And he's still incredibly raw as a player. And I think that's what's so special about him. Like he hasn't even scratched the surface of what he could possibly be as a player. But nights like tonight are good confidence boosters for a player like Ron Holland. I think the sky's the limit for the kid. Got a comment from Benjamin Foe. Shout out to him. Anyone notice Cade held Stu accountable for that dumb technical foul? Yeah, I think this year, and when we talked to Corey Woods a couple of weeks ago, he was kind of telling me that this season, the Pistons in the locker room are way more vocal with each other. They're holding each other more accountable because they don't want another season like they had last. And I think that's so good for the team chemistry, and the morale is holding each other accountable. But I did notice that, Ben. I did notice Cade kind of take Stu to the side with the technical foul, with him kind of just like making a hand gesture towards the referee. You didn't really see that last year. You didn't really see players like hold each other accountable. And I think that has to do with this new coaching staff under JB Bickerstaff. Comment from John Pesto. Great win, gusty type of win. We didn't fold the fourth quarter, and we took this game. Yeah, exactly. I think they've actually gotten better these past 2 games in the fourth quarter, where in the beginning of the season, it seems like if they had a lead, they didn't really know how to close. I think they're starting to learn how to close these games when they do have a lead. And I think that's so important. And I think winning games, even though Brooklyn is a rebuilding team, it's still a win. The Lakers are a team that are probably going to compete for a Western Conference playoff spot. Having Anthony Davis and LeBron James, these type of wins can really help your confidence when you're a young team like the Detroit Pistons. Closing out that fourth quarter, never letting them get too close, keeping your foot on the gas, making sure you won the game. Again, I think this is such a confidence booster because we saw, even opening night, like the Pistons basically were beating the Indiana Pacers for 40 plus minutes, and then the fourth quarter happened and they didn't know how to close. I think they're still learning how to close, and I think they're still learning each other and JB Bickerstaff. Trutella has a question. Has Ivy finally proved that he and Cade can thrive together? I think so. I do. I think the biggest question that I had, and I'll take full accountability for this, is I didn't think that Jaden Ivey would be able to develop a shot, and I will admit that I was wrong. His shot looks great, and I know how much work he puts in, Trutella. But like, if he's shooting the basketball and giving you 20 points a game, yes, this backcourt can thrive together. And I think that's been the biggest question mark for not only myself, but other people that maybe watch these podcasts, watch these live streams, or just, Pistons fans in the community. Like, a lot of us have always kind of questioned the 3-point shot with Jaden Ivey. If it can be consistent enough. And we've seen in, the first 8 games or so, it's been pretty consistent. He's been one of their more consistent players so far. So I honestly think that they can work together. And I love that I was wrong that I didn't think Jaden Ivey could thrive, because I want these two to thrive. I want Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey to be a backcourt for the next, 8 to 10 years. I want these guys to work out in Detroit. I just kind of question the three-point shot, but I will admit when I'm wrong to you guys. You guys can clip this. You can send it to Jaden Ivey. I really don't care. I love that he's putting games together. I love that he's been more consistent. And you can tell that he put a lot of muscle on this offseason in the weight room. Just his ability to, get to the free throw line, his ability to hit those mid-range floaters. The three-point shot looks good. Like, everything for him looks good. Even defensively, I've noticed him giving way more effort than I've seen in his first 2 years previous. Like, he is just starting to become a player that's consistent. And I think going into a rookie contract year where the Pistons would have the ability to extend him this summer, if he keeps having games like this, the Pistons are probably going to lock Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham up for the foreseeable future. I have a comment from DG. This game was like people watching a show they don't normally watch, only for the guest character. Yeah, I mean, it was actually a really entertaining game. Like, we did a podcast yesterday with Lazarus Jackson from the Detroit Bad Boys, and I told him that I was nervous with Anthony Davis. And I thought that the Lakers were going to beat the Pistons. Like, I did not think that the Pistons were going to come out this aggressive and just kind of dictate the way this game was going to go. But kudos to the Pistons. But it's a great analogy, DG. Appreciate your comment. I have a comment from Jason. Simone's shot looked off. Any concerns? A little bit. Kind of talked about it yesterday, Jason. It seems like Simone, when he does get the ball, it's not really in his shooting pocket. It's like some of the offensive possessions that he's made over the past couple of games, it's trying to put the ball on the floor. He's had, looks where they're having him spot up in the corner for three, but I am a little bit concerned. Something to monitor, but again, he could still be getting into basketball shape, learning, JV Bickerstaff system as well. We're only 8 games into the season, but that's something to monitor, keep an eye on if you are a Detroit Piston fan, because we saw last year at the deadline, he was one of the Pistons' best players next to Cade Cunningham. But yeah, something that I've been, talking about with you guys during these post-game podcasts, but I think he's a good enough player where he'll be able to figure it out and start shooting the ball better. And maybe he can, find positions or, cutting lanes where he can get some more easy baskets and not, take really tough contested jump shots or, fadeaway shots that are, in my opinion, I think just low percentage shots for him. I think he's a smart enough basketball player to figure it out. But again, we're only 8 games in. I think all these players are still learning JB Bickerstaff, and I think he's still learning them as well. I have a comment from Jay Owen. Our 2 centers combined for 19 points and 23 rebounds and 3 blocks. Yeah, Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart played so well tonight that if you get that type of production out of them at a night-to-night basis, you're probably going to win most games. Really like what I saw out of both of them tonight. Trutella, Ivy's movement without the ball is what stands out to me. Yeah, I've noticed that too. If he doesn't have the ball, he's just not standing in the corner. He's looking to make cuts to the basket, or maybe he's just looking for opportunities to get the ball, where last year it seems like Monty kind of just had him in a corner or had him on the bench. So couldn't really, play that much. But yeah, Jaden Ivey's development this year is something that I wasn't really thinking that he would improve this drastically. I thought he would improve a little bit, but I mean, he's just putting such good basketball games together that it's really encouraging as a Piston fan. Will Tech be out of the rotation soon? I don't think so. Rasheed Wallace's bald spot. I think he'll still get time. when the shot's not falling, it's probably really glaring if you guys are watching these games on TV like I am. But I thought defensively, he's been consistent in terms of just like staying in front of people and communicating and passing the basketball. I think once the shot starts falling, his confidence will go up, but I don't think he'll be out of the rotation. I don't really think the Pistons have a replacement for Simone Fonseca. Like if Bobby Klitman was healthy, maybe they look to give him some more reps, but he's not healthy. He still has a calf strain, but I'm not really too worried about Tech. I think he's still just getting into basketball shape, learning JB Bickerstaff's system and stuff like that. Do a couple more of these comments and questions, but really appreciate you guys watching. I have over 126 people in here. We got Ashton, the trainer, Detroit basketball. Shout out to Ashton, man. Uh, Such a good game. Hope you're doing well, man. Have to have you in the podcast one of these days. The last time we beat the Lakers, Blake Griffin was in a Pistons jersey. So it's been a minute since the last time we beat the Los Angeles Lakers. Shout out to Blake. I did not know that. I knew it was a while ago, but I didn't know it was that long. Most fans will love Stu soon now that he's in a natural home of a backup five. Energy big off the bench. Shout out to Pistons Jacob. Again, if you guys have not checked out Pistons Jacob, go check out his YouTube channel. Really good Detroit Pistons daily content if you haven't. This is a comment from him. And that's what I've kind of been telling people all this summer. Like, he's a perfect backup big. He's a perfect energy big. When he has nights like tonight where he's bringing energy, he's contesting shots, he's looking for his teammates, he's crashing the glass like that. That's exactly what you want out of Isaiah Stewart on a night-to-night basis. Comment from Mr. My City. My opinion on Stu has definitely changed. He changed the atmosphere on the court for the whole team and the opponents. I agree. Like when you see other players on your team give the type of effort that Isaiah Stewart was giving, then everyone wants to play good defense together and crash the glass and make the open pass, and it's infectious. And I think that's the type of player that Isaiah Stewart is. And I know we talked a lot about Stu tonight, and he deserves it. He played a really good game tonight, trying to protect the rim, grabbing rebounds, and involving his teammates. And a comment from Daquan, you can tell this isn't the same team from last year. Absolutely. It's a team that seems like it's a little bit more, there's more cohesion with this team. Seems like they want to play together. They really love JB. I want to talk about JB though for a little bit. I love the fact that he's making challenges on bad calls with the officiating. Like there was a call with LeBron tonight where Stu blocked the shot and they called a foul. Like last year, we didn't really see that with Monty Williams. And we even saw it in the Brooklyn game last night where I think Dennis Schroeder like pushed off and he made the basket, and like Cade and a bunch of the players like had to actually like get him back on the coaching side of the bench because he was like getting in these referees' faces. Like we really didn't see that last year. Like JB is a coach that I think is just a perfect fit for this young team because he's going to instill winning habits with them. And like nights like tonight are such confidence builders. And I know I've probably said that a thousand times so far on this post-game podcast, but they're really important when you beat a playoff caliber team like the Los Angeles Lakers. But yeah, I agree, Daquan. Like the energy and the vibes with this team feels completely different from last season. Holland at the four tonight was interesting. If able to knock down just 2 of those 5 threes, we'd be saying he's nearly the player of the game. Yeah. I did notice that he was at power forward tonight. Maybe JB was just kind of experimenting, but his 3-point shot, when I look at it, like the shot's not broken, it just needs to be developed. But yeah, like if he's knocking down, 2 out of 4, 2 out of 5 threes on a nightly basis, then yeah, we have different conversations with Ron Holland as a rookie and as a player. But yeah, um, what I would kind of preach to fans is just be patient with this kid. I think you have the right coaches and the right development coaches to unlock his potential. And if his potential does get unlocked, you have a two-way wing that you could grow with in the long-term future. Bryce Scott, was Paul Reed injured or just a lineup preference? He's not injured. It's just the lineup preference. I really don't know why he doesn't play. I don't really know why we picked him up, but uh, he's just a third string center. He's like an emergency break the glass type center if Jalen Duren or Isaiah Stewart are in foul trouble. But I hope we get to see Paul Reed a little bit more this season because I think he can offer a different dynamic at center for the Pistons. Taquan says this reminds me of the start of the Lions rebuild. You can see where they're going. They just in the learning period. Yeah, I mean, I thought that they could have taken those steps last season, but hey, better late than never, I guess. And you got a coach that I think you can build with. You have young players that you're drafting, they're developing. You're bringing in development coaches like a Fred Vincent, who's helped a lot of NBA players become respectable 3-point shooters. And I think they're going into the right direction. I thought last year it just got so off the rails that there was no direction. There was no leadership from front office to the coaching staff. But you're starting to see what Trajan Langdon's vision is, why he did pick JB Bickerstaff, and why Pistons fans can be a little bit positive, be a little bit hopeful. I know it's been really hard these past couple of years of we want this team to be good. We want to get behind a team that we can support and go to games. But I think it's just baby steps right now. You're 3-5 first 8 games of the season, but you can see the progression. They're getting better each and every game and building confidence with each other. The defense has been just about digging in. We don't have many plus defenders, but if everyone buys in, it can be passable. Agreed. I think if everyone kind of just buys in to JB's message, this could be a team that's at least respectable defensively. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 defense, but maybe they could be middle of the pack. And if you're buying in like you did tonight and you're not turning the ball over, they did still have, I think, over 10 plus turnovers tonight. It wasn't 22 like in previous nights. You could start to see this team, building chemistry and getting better. Like I thought the passing was much better tonight. There were still some turnovers that where you're kind of scratching your head at, but overall, I thought the ball movement and the defense was pretty good. Thanks for the comment, Case Correct. No Bias TV had a comment. People were insane doubting Ivy, hardest worker on the team. Monty Williams was sabotaging him. Yeah, for sure. I think I kind of got to the point where I questioned myself. I was like, do I know basketball? Because Monty Williams kind of broke my brain. And I'm not going to say like I know everything about basketball because I don't. I'm still learning, watching these games, still learning offensive sets, still just learning the game. And like I'm 30 years old, right? But Monty Williams kind of broke my brain in terms of just like watching up, growing basketball. But yeah, Jaden Ivey, the work he puts in, his work ethic. Um, and Monty Williams last year, benching him for Killian Hayes was really weird. No bias, but I do agree with you. Jaden Ivey, it seems like every game he's building more confidence. I really like what I'm seeing out of him. Comment from Diva: an identity is slowly forming. Yeah, it is. It is. Um, I think this will be a team in a couple of months where we can talk about the next identity for the Detroit Pistons and what it could look like for the future. But it was a breath of fresh air tonight, just watching them just dictate the game from start to finish and never losing that lead. Hakeem the Dream, belt to the ass in the Lakers tonight. Yes, sir. I'm smoking that Lakers pack. Love to see it, man. Love to see it. Back-to-back wins. Question from John or Jason, excuse me. Anyone know when Asar comes back? We don't know yet. The NBA is kind of in control of when he will come back. All we've gotten out of our beat reporters that cover the Pistons locally have said that he's gotten back to like light competition. There have been some videos from reporters, if you do follow him on Twitter, of just light shooting drills. 5-0, no 5-5 yet. But it is a good sign that he's traveling with the team and he's on the bench. Because if his blood clots were really bad, they wouldn't let him travel or fly. So the fact that he got to travel to Brooklyn is a very, very good sign. And if there are any updates, I'm sure the beat reporters or Shams Karani will probably be one of the first people to break the news with Asar Thompson, since he's such a big player on this team for the Pistons. But yeah, I don't know when he's coming back, but it is a good sign that he is traveling with the team. Get to a couple more of these comments, you guys. I appreciate all you guys, coming in, leaving comments. It's so encouraging to watch this team make the right steps in the right direction, and I appreciate all you guys. 128 of you in here right now at 10 o'clock, almost 11 o'clock at night. But appreciate all you guys. I'll do a couple more questions, and I'm gonna wrap this post game podcast up. But let's see. This is a good question. Are we a play-in team? I don't see them having a meltdown like last season, but think they will continue this play. Great question. Now, I think, the first couple of games of the schedule were really brutal, but I told you guys I thought it was kind of a blessing to have a tough schedule because you're going to have to up your play when you're playing against these playoff teams. I do think they can compete for the play-in. I think that should be the goal. My win projections for them have kind of stayed the same. I've been really consistent. I think they could be around that 27 to 30 win range personally. Now, does that get you into a play-in tournament? Does that get you into the 10 seed? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But they could crush that 30 win projection if they start stacking good games together. But yeah, I think that should be the goal. I think they have the talent too, and they have an available roster spot open. Could they possibly add more talent to this roster? Do they get a veteran point guard? Do they maybe address more help on the wing? I don't know, but I think this is a team that will compete night in and night out, and you're seeing them build confidence game to game. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're around, like hovering around that 12, 11, just trying to fight for that 10 seed. Johnny said, I need to see us beat more contenders first. Yeah, I mean, if you kind of look at the schedule this week, you have the Hornets, who Hornets are kind of middle of the pack. They have LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. They just got a brand new coach. I think that's a winnable game. You have the Hawks, I believe, Friday. Another team that's kind of like middle of the pack just because of the rebuild, that trading DeJounte Murray. They still have Trae Young. Zachary Richard's kind of looked underwhelming so far to start off his rookie campaign, but I think that could be a winnable game too. And then you play the Rockets on Sunday at home. So I mean, if you can come out this week 3-1, I would take it if I'm a Piston fan. Beating the Lakers tonight, I thought was a good sign of going into the right direction. But yeah, I do agree with you. that if you want to try to compete for that play-in, you're going to have to beat those teams that are playoff teams like the Lakers. Like the Lakers are probably going to be a playoff team in the Western Conference this year. I believe in like what they have. They just had a really bad night of, shooting the basketball, and it kind of seemed like they weren't really ready to get up for the Pistons tonight. But I honestly think that you keep, stacking good games together, building confidence with this young core. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they're, competing for that play-in tournament spot. But I do agree with you, Johnny. You'd like to see him you'd like to see this team beat the playoff teams to, build that confidence. And then we could have, better opinions with this team of saying, yeah, that the Pistons are going to make the play-in this year. But we've been on for around 40 minutes. Appreciate you guys, tapping on in. Really great that your Detroit Pistons did defeat the Los Angeles Lakers tonight, 115-103. We will see you guys on Wednesday, immediately after the Charlotte Hornets game. Hope you guys have a great night. I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. Take care. Peace.